Dallas, which was so fun. Everyone thought I was crazy to bring us a TCO to the ranch where we had a live longhorn. That's actually a cow there in the arena for people to jump. Uh-oh. All right. Are we good? No one wants to hear about TCO18.
I
That's
heard,
the problem.
that came across. I heard you, Jesse.
Oh, fantastic.
I actually had my stream was unmuted for some reason, so I did hear that.
Yeah. So, and then we were talking about how horrible the internet was. So, I was all excited about bringing TCO to the ranch, and all the guys were very worried about the internet connection. And I said, "Don't worry about it; it'll be fine." But it definitely was not fine. And so, Mess spent the entire.
She's muted herself.
I'm good. Oh, you guys can hear me okay? Yep. Okay. All right. Well, we're just skipping over TCO18 because clearly nobody cares about that one. See? It's like, it's a disease.
It's because we're talking about the internet.
TCO18 was an internet issue. TCO19.
That's also, well, 18 was just when we went to HDMI cables. Just had to throw that out there. 19.
TCO19 was in Houston last year. You guys were there. It was actually an awesome event. We had our first ever dual champion of Tourist. We never had someone win TCO 2 tracks before, so that was really cool. So Tourist will go down in history books for that, plus everything else he does. But we had some great sponsors. We had an awesome innovation summit. So we had a really fun time at TCO 19.
Yeah, the Innovation Summit and TCO combined, plus then when we had the member panel out there was pretty phenomenal.
Yes, the member panel, which was part of our documentary that we did. So that was really, really awesome. And then we went to this really crazy amusement park, which I thought was like 5 minutes away, which ended up being like 45 minutes away. So that was kind of a, yeah.
45 minutes might be generous.
Yeah. Like, okay, I was so busy and I reached out to all these different places for the closing reception. And this is the only one that got back to me. And I was like, cool, roller skating, guys. We're going to go roller skating. And I was so excited. I was so excited about roller skating with everybody that I wasn't really paying attention to how far this place was. And then we showed up and they're like, oh, but you're sharing the roller rink. I'm like, what the hell? I paid for the roller rink. I want to roller skate with my people. We have to share it with all these strangers? What is going on here? I was so mad about the roller rink because I really just wanted to like watch Harshit roller skate, which by the way was the best thing ever. Harshit's just standing there like, I'm roller skating, but he really wasn't. It was amazing. My kids are doing laps around him and he's like, he was wiping out left and right. It was so fun. But anyway, TCO19. And this is TCO20. Yay. We'll have to talk about this one next year. There'll be lots of stories for TCO20, let me tell you. And then, of course, before we end our stream here, we have to thank all our sponsors. We've had some really great logos over the years that were supporting TCO. So grateful to have them because without their support, we couldn't do all the amazing things that we're doing. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading the chat right now. That's a bad idea.
Plus, I mean, there's probably a whole lot of crazy stories we could talk about just with the sponsors too, right? So
yes, absolutely.
Whole lot of history there.
Let's just say that every time I send out an email, I get 400 to Blizzard Darren and Lily Ted and because I used to set up all the sponsor accounts. So I have like hundreds of sponsor accounts under my email address. But anyway, sponsors, good times. And then, of course, we have TCO. TCO21 is going on right now. It's our 21st TCO, which is pretty awesome. But anyway, that's all the slides I have for you today. Thank you, Mess and Adam, for joining me and talking about the history of TCO. There's so many more stories I wanted to share, but I ran out of time. I'm so disappointed.
This could
Well,
be like a 5-hour talk.
We could go on for ages. I have so many more stories, some really good ones and some really inappropriate ones. So we'll keep those ones for later. But thank you so much for joining me, letting me have this fun walk down memory lane. I appreciate it. It was a really good time. I hope you guys enjoyed it too.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having us. And hey, just wanted to shout out to Adam, Jesse, Nick, Hashit, Aaron, the whole crew. Great job with virtual TCO20. It's definitely another one for the books. But you guys are making it awesome. So thank you for everything.
We'll have a webinar next year about how we ran TCO20 without pulling our hairs out in TCO20 and in 2020. Yeah, we'll do. Fun.
Thanks, Mess.
All right, marathon folks are coming up next, and they're going to talk about more intelligent things than we did. So I hope you guys stick around and listen to that too. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Hello, everybody. It's the final hour of the marathon finals. Very exciting stuff. We are running a little bit behind, so we're going to get right into it. Is Tourist going to three-peat? Is Psyho going to reclaim his throne? Or are we going to crown a new champion? We will be finding out, at the awards ceremony, but we'll kind of see where everyone is at, and we'll send it over to Aaron and Dimitri as they will help us kind of understand where we're at. Take it away, folks.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. It's a pleasure to be back again. It's fun kind of looking over where the leaderboard is now. It obviously has developed a bit. Everybody's been making plenty of submissions now. It's no longer just the first 2 or 3 people involved, but now everybody is kind of submitting pretty feverishly, it looks like. Not surprisingly, currently Tourist does appear to be at the top. Psyho is in third, which is maybe slightly more surprising. Nika in second. I'm looking, though, and I'm seeing that those scores are pretty densely clustered. We've got the top 8 all above 98 points. And when we're only talking about 50 test cases, that potentially means at or near the very best on 49 of them. So I still think this could potentially be anybody's contest. How about you?
Yeah, I agree, Aaron. I think this is a really close contest, and it's pretty much anyone's game at this stage. And throughout the night, what we've seen is the leading position has changed over and over again. I mean, so we had Saliper, who was first for the first 5 hours, and no one could catch him. And then people started catching him, like W-Light, Catalan T, and so Saliper's slipped a little bit, and then he kind of went to bed, so we haven't seen him for a while. Meanwhile, Tourist has kind of been struggling. I've been watching his stream, and he's doing a lot of pacing and talking to himself. He had a decent score, but it wasn't a huge score that would win the competition, so he was doing a lot of thinking, and then he didn't submit for the last 12 hours, and only just recently he submitted, and he went straight to second, just a few points behind IEHN, who himself is a huge surprise. He came out of nowhere and he took a massive lead of a whole percent, which in this particular problem is a big difference. So yeah, he was sitting a whole percent above Psyho. So at the moment he resubmitted, so we're still waiting for his latest result, and looks like Psyho has just resubmitted. I think it will come down to those three, so IEHN, Psyho, Tourist, possibly Nika.
Okay.
Yeah, really exciting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll have to see exactly what shakes out. We did talk a little bit yesterday that it is just those 50 test cases, so there could be a little bit of variance to be had in the system testing results. We certainly do know that strange things happen. Sometimes you can accidentally overtune to those 50 tests. So hopefully it'll still be exciting to see who ends up winning this. Since we're talking about the different competitors, do we want to actually go ahead and really get into who's actually the 12 people competing today?
I think that's a great idea.
All right. So up first we have blackmath, Christoph Schwerzer from Germany. His name actually comes from a song by the White Stripes, and he's not his first time at a TCO final, but we're certainly glad to see him back again. He's currently looking like he's sitting in maybe third or fourth from the bottom, but we'll see what happens. You never know. There's still almost an hour to go, so we'll see if maybe he's got another solution up his sleeve. We've got Catalan Tissot from Romania. He's a 3-time finalist. Apparently he also does some competitive sports, just like he does with the programming. He does kite surfing and snowboarding, among other things. He's sort of made his way back to the marathon matches this year. So certainly good to see him here as well. We've got Diver 19, Demetrio Koshaven from the United States. He's working for Google, board game enthusiast, and knows how to play all sorts of different board games. That's actually kind of something not too uncommon among our competitors, I'm sure. Many of these guys will love to play board games during their off hours.
Just a comment, I think he's just living in United States, so originally I believe he's from Ukraine.
That does not surprise me. Yeah, the sheet I've got in front of me says United States, and so yeah, it could very well be that he's simply just living here right now.
Yep.
IEHN, Hironao Tsutsumida from Japan. This is he had his first finals last year. Apparently, this is actually his second time, and we'll see how it ends up. It looks like he's been competing very, very strongly today, consistently for at least for the last hour or so that I've been watching, above the 99-point threshold. We'll see if he can hold that up for the rest of this competition. We've got Milanin, Alexander Milanin, also from United States. A fun fact that I did not know is, did you know Milanin has a real Christmas tree in his room since 2018? I'm amazed it's not dried out yet, but I'm glad to hear about that. Fun
Wow,
fact
I'm
about our
surprised.
competitors.
I'm surprised by that.
Nicholas, I'm going to mess up the last name if I even try to say it. He's from Georgia. Dimitri, if you want to give a shot at pronouncing his name, you're welcome to do so.
I can try. Jim Shilishvili.
Brilliant. Well done. Okay, I apologize that I could not do that myself. 8-time TCO finalist, and he's been in great form, won 2 back-to-back matches, second place in last year's finals. I think we should expect to see some good things from him, and in fact, he is over that 99-point threshold right now, so he'll probably finish out pretty close to the top. Oh, here's a name that I'm sure nobody will recognize, Psyho, Przemysław Debiak, from Poland. He took a few years off, and apparently at one point he wanted to try his luck getting into acting and directing school, and he thought he would see if he could make money doing component design. Meanwhile, while he was in school, I guess he found out that doing some things other than just acting was going to work out better for him. Certainly has. We're happy to see him back and certainly wish him well.
And I believe he's working for OpenAI at the moment and doing some really cool stuff over there. But it's definitely good to see him back.
We've got Sully Purr, Benjamin Boutin from France. He works for NVIDIA as a roboticist, and he's also a sports enthusiast, apparently playing tennis and basketball. And back in 2017 completed an Ironman. That's actually really impressive. For those that don't know, an Ironman is a roughly I think 3K swim, a 112-mile bike ride, followed by a full marathon distance run. Basically an all-day sporting event. He's impressing me by just knowing that more so than even the programming stuff.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Not many people could do that.
Tomarun, Nobuaki Tanaka from Japan. So apparently he is not only a veteran in marathon matches, but also likes running marathons. So I guess maybe he and Sullyper can go out for a run after they're done.
They can have another competition after this.
Competition is what drives performance, right?
A real marathon competition.
This is a real marathon. 24 hours of programming is absolutely a real marathon.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows tourist Gennady Karatkovich from Belarus. He's been to 27 different countries, Google Code Jam champion for 6 years in a row, and stands still as the only finalist at TCO to ever win both the algorithm and the marathon in the same year. And leaving the question of will he do it again this year? I guess we'll have to see. Yeah, we can actually see him now working, doing his last half an hour or so of progress. He looks very much similar to how we saw him last night, kind of sitting at his desk, kind of doing his things. He was laying down earlier for a while. I missed that part. David Vago from Hungary. He's apparently the only finalist who competed in marathons 14 years back, and this is his first ever TCO finals. Yeah, he was competing in marathons right at the very first marathon that we did, even that test match. So it's great to see that he's finally here for his finals. I mean, what a way to stick with it. If you want to talk about marathon and really just going the distance, 14 years is a long time. And of course, W. Leite, Vladimir Leite from Brazil. He's the most experienced marathoner on Top Coder, having done over 200 competitions between some of the sponsored matches and the fun matches, with 37 wins. And he has been to every one of the marathon finals in this decade. That's pretty impressive. But when you talk about experience that you're trying to compete against, even though he's not currently in the lead, and it looks like this might not be his year, you always got to wonder if he's going to be a force to be reckoned with just purely by the experience. So I'm not sure what else you might know about any of the competitors or whatnot, but certainly we've got a nice diverse bunch representing good portion of the world here. We're excited to see everybody competing. There have been a few changes to the leaderboard, which is not surprising. During this final hour of competition, we're seeing everybody kind of make their last few submissions. Probably they're all testing very ferociously locally. They've probably got 3 or 4 different submissions that they really like that they've worked on recently, trying to decide which one is actually the best of the best. It is currently looks like IEHN at the top of the leaderboard, with Tourist very, very close behind him. But again, what we were saying about the kind of scarcity of test cases in those provisional tests, it's pretty likely that things could change, or at least it's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I mean, 50 tests don't really give you that much information. And when we do the final testing, we're going to run about 2,000 tests, if not more. So definitely a lot of the special cases need to be tested correctly because they're going to occur in the final test. So I expect a lot of these guys will be doing some heavy testing right now and trying all the parameters and sort of finding the best solution.
That makes sense. It's certainly what I would be doing right now if I were competing. Yeah, you kind of past the point where you're really going to have any major breakthroughs. You're not going to completely scrap what you've got to try something different this late in the game. That's just a matter of the last minute fine-tuning.
Yeah, exactly. So you might not get a big breakthrough, but there's still a lot of points to be gained just by doing that fine-tuning. And I think that part of the competition is actually really important because, yeah, you can still do a lot just by changing a single number or a minus to a plus.
Yep, exactly.
You might even find some bugs in there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the leaderboard now, and I'm looking at these scores, and remembering what we described about what those leaderboard scores actually mean, relatively speaking, even at the bottom of the leaderboard with 93 points, that still means he's pretty close to what the best competitor has on most of the test cases anyway. That means that all 12 of these guys are really, really fighting for just that last little bit. A point or two here or there on 1 or 2 test cases could be enough to make the difference.
Yeah, in fact, if we get a chance to look at their solutions, we'll see that they already look almost perfect, and it's hard to even imagine what else you can do to make them better.
I think we do have some of those available for viewing.
Okay. So this is one from Sulipair, and it looks like it's a case where the rectangles are more important. He's got a lot more rectangles here, and you can see the rectangle packing is quite good. There are some gaps in there, and there's no circles can fit into those gaps, but possibly if he shifts those rectangles around, he could add some more circles in there. And it's interesting how he's partitioned the two shapes into 2 sides of the base. So he's not mixing them around. And I've seen some other solutions that do make a mix.
Yeah, I know. I, for one, wasn't necessarily expecting to see that kind of an arrangement. I was thinking we'd see a lot more of the rectangles kind of near the middle of the circle and the circles kind of around the edge where it's curved anyway. So that's both interesting and surprising to me, but it seems like it's working well enough for him for now. We'll see if it's
I think these are some of his really early submissions. So this is probably the first 5 hours of the competition. This particular submission would probably not score so high at the moment. It'll be, I'm guessing, around 97.
Yeah, if you just looking at the image, the different colors kind of tell you something. All those areas that look kind of like that yellowish orange color, are areas that potentially would be better used if they were filled with something that would score points.
Yep. Okay, we've got Psyho here, and you can see what he's done is he's actually filled in some of those gaps, and I really like how he's got the circles kind of touching each other. So there's one area where I can see 4 circles and then a little rectangle between them. So that's a really clever way to fill up the space.
Yeah, utilizing those smaller rectangles to take advantage of some of that gap space that exists. Again, you never really know what competitors are going to come up with. As much as we do test these problems and try to really work on them and see what's possible, there's always some surprises, and that's really pretty neat to see.
Okay, we've got another solution by Saliper. This one has a very nice mix between the two shapes, and he does fill in those gaps between the circles as well, so it's quite a nice solution, this one.
Yeah, you can see this one was definitely, looks like it's a little bit more refined than some of his earlier ones, perhaps. I should say for any viewers at home, the solutions and the imagery that we're seeing on the screen right now is not stuff that is being taken live from them right this second. We don't want to spoil the competition. These are things that happened earlier in the competition, but at this point, most competitors have probably got something like this or even further along, perhaps.
So have a look at this one. There's almost no gaps here, so it's kind of hard to imagine how you could possibly improve it. This one's from W. Lighting.
Judging by W. Lightay's scores, I'm guessing he also is having trouble figuring out how to improve it. Oh, okay. And in fact, Harshit on our information research desk is telling me that he has a completely different approach now that he's trying. He was during the day today was pretty frustrated with how things were going, so not surprising.
Solution by Diver. So he's kind of mixing the shapes around a bit, so they're not just one big area. They're spread around more evenly. And I like how he's packing the circles, so he's kind of putting circles in hexagons. I believe that will minimize the gaps as well.
This seems like an opportunity to pull out the word tessellation, right? Just to use some fancy math words for people.
Everything is better with fancy maths words.
Absolutely.
And I'm just looking at the leaderboard right now, and Tom Run has jumped.
Ooh.
And he's almost caught up to Tourist, who's almost caught up to IEHN. So this is going to be really close.
So between IEHN, Tourist, Tomarun, and Psyho, we have 4 competitors that are above 99 points. The first 3 of them are above 99.5, suggesting it looks like we've got 1/10 of a point separating first from third right now. So really, that could be any of those 3 could win this.
Yeah, that's really close. And the fact that the first score is 99.6 indicates that there's still a bit of room for improvement. So potentially you could still get 0.4 extra points. But we are reaching the limits of this problem. I think they've really used every idea possible right now.
That certainly seems to be the case, yeah. We'll see what else they come up with in this last. We've got less than 30 minutes to go now, but I wouldn't put it past somebody to come up with something interesting just to get that last little bit of improvement, right?
Absolutely, everything's possible. I mean, we just seen a couple hours ago, IEHN made a massive jump, and he became first by a large margin. He was leading by a whole %, which is massive in this competition. So I'm wondering whether that particular submission was possibly too early, and that gave other competitors some more ideas to keep trying. Maybe if he held it back a bit, could have been useful. But, at this stage, yeah, there's not much time left, so you've just got to throw in everything you've got.
Yeah, we'll certainly see what happens. I'm still interested because I suspect we're going to see, obviously, at least a few more submissions, probably 1 or 2 each from the top few folks. Of course, there is that sort of trick where during the last few minutes, you want to just leave a few extra minutes just in case you make a submission that's bad accidentally, so you can resubmit and correct yourself, and then kind of leave that maybe 5-10 minutes of buffer time just in case something went wrong.
So we're looking at IHN's screen at the moment, and I've been watching him before, and he's been listening to some really nice classical music and almost kind of dancing or swaying to it. So it almost looks like the music is helping him to relax.
Now, do we know, has he been awake and alert the entire 24 hours of this competition?
That's a good question. From what I've seen, he's been awake most of the time. I haven't seen him sleeping at all.
Okay.
I know that other people have taken naps or at least tried to sleep. I don't think anyone has slept for a long time because it's really hard to sleep when you're in the middle of a competition and your mind keeps ticking away and you're still thinking about the problem.
Of course, there is money on the line for this, so there is actually some real reward at stake with making sure that you do a good job. So I guess, yeah, that makes sense. Where I was going with that is I have to wonder if maybe the lack of sleep is starting to impact some of these competitors. You get a little bit tired, you start getting into that music just a little bit, you start having a much better time than you might otherwise.
Yeah, I'm sure that would help. So in terms of money, the winner will get $10,000, which is nice. And I think the second place was it 1,000?
I believe it's 1,000.
Yeah.
So
it's quite a big difference in terms of the payout.
Okay, it's 1,500 for second and 1,000 for third, it looks like.
Right.
Yeah, again, our crack research team is kind of feeding us the answers as we're talking here. Thank you, Harshit.
So that's a difference of 8,500, and it could come down to just 0.1%.
Yeah, that's
score.
That is really what it's probably going to come down to. Just looking at how these things are, if you look at the difference between Tourist and Tomarun right now, between second and third place, that's a difference of 0.02 of the score. It doesn't really get any tighter than that. I would say, given that there's only 50 test cases, I would call 0.02 basically a dead even tie. The selection of test cases that comes up for the system testing, that could really change that. Do we know how many system test cases are going to be run?
So I'm hoping there'll be at least 2,000 cases, but we may need to run more cases just to separate all the competitors out properly.
That makes sense. Yeah, I do know from other years with the TCO finals, every now and again having to try to get creative to make sure we're really sure of the results and packing in as many tests as we possibly can. We've got live footage of Tomaru now, and we actually could just see him for a second there. It looked like he was really starting to nod off.
Oh.
I suspect the fatigue was possibly getting to him just a bit.
Look at that packing. That is amazing.
It doesn't get much tighter than that. And not surprisingly, he's very, very close to the top of the leaderboard. So he's, trying to see if he can do just a little bit better.
So it looks like he's recording all these top scores in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit yesterday, where W. Lite has his automated system. Tomarun's obviously keeping track of his top scores. Every one of these competitors is keeping very close attention on which submission is scoring better or worse than others, so that they're going to be able to make those final decisions when it counts.
And it is kind of hard to do that because all the other people are submitting at the same time. So your score on the leaderboard could go down, and it might even go up, depending on how the other solutions perform on any given case, it's actually possible for it to go up.
That's where the local testing really comes into it. Before I explain that more, we're looking at Vladimir Leite now, and is it just me, or he looks like he's just about dead to the world from staring at his screen for so long? He's still in there. He's fighting it though. He's gonna keep trying.
I think all these guys must be quite tired. And I was chatting to Vladimir a bit earlier, and he said he tried to sleep before the competition, but he just couldn't fall asleep. He was too anxious about the finals. So it sounded like he was awake 20 hours before the competition even started. So just imagine what he's feeling now, given that it's, another 23 hours that he hasn't slept. Yeah, it's not just a competition about intelligence or programming skill. You also need to have a lot of stamina.
Yeah, there's definitely some time management skills that come into this. We've got blackmath on the screen now. We can kind of see him. He looks like he's still pretty well focused and giving some serious thought to what he's trying to do next. Yeah, regrettably, it's hard to make out a whole lot, nor would we be in a position to really give out too much detail of what they're doing just from looking at their code. You can see, though, every one of these competitors is staring at their code, looking to see if there's any mistakes, probably, looking to see if there's any parameters they can tweak. We briefly got a visualization there from W. Leite. He's got a very strong packing where he's using some of the thinner rectangles in between the circles to kind of fill in that extra space. And we're coming up on just about 20 minutes left in this competition, so really coming down to the wire pretty soon.
So it's interesting how everyone's using a slightly different coding environment. So W. Light was using Eclipse.
Okay.
And I've seen some other people just using sort of basic, like Notepad kind of editors with some highlighting. And Tourist has a really interesting setup where he's got this blue screen file manager thing, and he can quickly go through each file and open it up and close it. So he uses that a lot.
We're looking now, I believe, at Diver 19, and he's actually pulling up some visualizations, which is kind of fun to see. And it appears as though he's paying very close attention to some debug output. Looks like maybe he's trying to find a specific case that's going wrong, or some specific parameter he's trying to tune, maybe some sort of a subtle bug that he's trying to work out. What I'm really wondering is, by the end of this competition, how many of the competitors are really, really, really going to be hungry for pizza versus how many never want to see a pizza again in their life.
It can go either way, couldn't it?
Yeah, it really could.
I mean, when I was writing the problem, I got really hungry for pizza, and I'm pretty sure I've been having a lot more pizza lately.
If it wasn't so late where I'm at, I'd be ordering a pizza right now just seeing this.
But I guess after seeing it for 24 hours, you probably don't want to think about it again.
Yeah, that would make sense. I probably wouldn't want to think about it anymore either. Although, that said, there have been many TCOs where within hours after the competition ends, some of the competitors are asking me, when can we get a practice room set up, because there's some more things I want to try. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, that has happened. It was actually W. Leite did that to me a few times. He's always been very excited and very passionate about what he's doing, so I can't fault that at all.
Yeah, these guys bring a lot to the whole community. I mean, not only they compete, but they also share a lot of their ideas and teach other people. So that's really important.
Harshit is telling me they are going to launch the match again after the final results are published, so that'll be an opportunity for everybody to see it again and play some more.
Oh, look at that. So the difference is 0.9 between the top three. That's super
Wow.
close.
That is close. It looks like between 3 and 4, Psyho is maybe just a little bit behind Tomarun. Maybe enough that there's a statistically significant difference there. I'm not sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess 0.5 would probably be a significant difference at this
Although
stage.
with only 50 test cases, it's entirely possible that there's just one test case that's messing him up somewhere.
Yeah, it could be like a tricky case where, for example, you don't have enough shapes of a particular type and you're doing something silly and just missing those extra few points.
That certainly happens. Sitting at about 17 minutes left right now. I'm actually getting excited because I believe we're going to have a couple of competitors come on when the match ends so that they can maybe talk about their thoughts for a few minutes. I'll be interested to hear what they have to say.
So here we have a visual of the actual pizza
Ooh,
with the images.
I like that.
There's a lot of rectangles in there. And pineapple is a rectangle here. That's because I couldn't think of any other rectangular ingredient. So I just did a cutout of a pineapple.
You know what? It's interesting because this problem actually solved a fairly large internet debate over whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza. I'm not sure how it is around the world. I know in the United States this is a very, very hotly contested topic. And in fact, this, I guess, answers that question that yes, pineapple does belong on pizza.
Good point. I like pineapple on a pizza.
Just to show you the other side of it, I do not. So there you have it.
Oh, there you go. Wow.
We're getting some video of Sullyper right now. You can see that he's. It looks like it's nighttime there, probably. The glow of the screen against his face and his eyes is kind of interesting to see. Still seems quite focused, if perhaps maybe a little tired. I believe he did go off to sleep for a little while. Perhaps he's now coming back on just to do the finishing touches on whatever he can.
Yeah, he had to sleep for a few hours.
Milanin is looking. Not sure if he's really thinking about the problem or if he's really frustrated with the problem, or probably both in all likelihood, I guess. It's funny, we're at that point in the contest now where actually seeing what the competitors are doing is perhaps the more exciting part of watching what's happening.
Yeah, there's not much time to do any big changes, so they might be just kind of waiting around.
We could even be coming into those last few minutes where folks are, maybe even afraid to make a new submission if they don't think that they're going to have time to fix it if they need to afterwards.
Yeah, that's a good point. It might be better. They might be better off not making a submission at this stage because if you make a mistake, then you won't have any time to fix it, and it's really dangerous to do that. And I know some people have done that before. They've submitted in the last 5 minutes, and the code was buggy, and they lost some points because of that.
Yep, that certainly has happened. We still see IEHN, Tourist, and Tomarun all kind of floating around near the top there. First and third place separated by a mere 0.1%, which, I'll say it again if I haven't said it enough times already, with only 50 test cases, is not a lot of difference. Oh, V-Dave was actually asleep when we started this broadcast. This is our first look at how he's doing. He appears as though he's doing his best to wake up and decide what he wants to do here.
So V-Dave was the last person to make his first submission. I believe he was sleeping in the beginning of the competition, and yeah, now he's he's back in the swing of it.
Looks like he's maybe doing some final testing or just kind of going over his results and seeing what he's got. V-Dave is currently bringing up the rear in terms of the scores, but you never know. That again, system testing can be a funny thing sometimes. We may see him move up a little bit. Yeah, it was an interesting point you were bringing up, Dimitri, about how everybody's got sort of their own development environment. You can see the variety of different tools that folks use. Some are on Windows, some are on Linux, some are probably using a Mac. We've got a few using, just their favorite command line tools. We've got some folks using different IDEs.
What do you like to use, Aaron?
Ooh, it really depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing development for work, if it's in like C# or something like that, of course I'll be in Visual Studio. If it's any kind of HTML, JavaScript, or even Node.js, that kind of stuff, I'm usually just using Notepad++, my favorite editor for just general purpose, whatever I'm doing. I'm not a huge fan of VI or Emacs for anything that I don't need to use them for. I know some people swear by them. They're just not really my thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar. I just like a good editor that is simple with some nice highlighting, like Notepad++. I use Kate on Linux.
Okay.
If you've heard of that.
I have.
And I like being able to open lots of different files and sort of going between each file, so I find that useful. But I'm not a big fan of big, complicated editors because they kind of slow you down, I think.
Yeah, they kind of do. Heavyweight IDEs sort of.
Yeah.
They carry along their own baggage. We're seeing a little bit of footage of Tomaru now. We actually saw him just a moment ago. He's hanging in there. Looks like he's still at least somewhat alert and going on. I'm sure he's got to be tired like everybody is. So, what we should probably explain one last time for anybody that might be just tuning in or maybe is looking at the leaderboard and thinking they know what's going to happen. The scores that we're seeing right here are not going to be the final scores that determine who wins. During the contest, each time they make a submission, they are being tested against 50 what we call provisional test cases. They're getting scores based upon the results of those 50 cases as compared to how everybody else did on those 50 cases. Once the competition closes out in just over 10 minutes now, we're going to take all their submissions. We're going to run them against a much larger set of test cases. In this case, at least 2,000 tests to really be sure that we know whose submission is the best of the best of the best overall. So especially where you see the top three so close like that, where they're differing by only 0.1% between first and third, that's still close enough that with only 50 tests, well within the margin of error that any one of them could be the winner. Worth noting that both WLate and Psyho do have some new submissions in the queue right now. We'll wait to see how those score and see where they end up. Also, we're close enough to the end that these might be their final submissions at this point. So we'll have to see how that works for everybody. Certainly getting exciting, though. Now, I have to wonder if these competitors are going to sign off after the competition is done and go to get some rest, or if they're simply still going to be too excited from the competition and too nervous to wait for final results a week from now to see how they did. They might not be sleeping a whole lot these next few nights.
I would be trying to get some sleep, but not sure that would work.
That's what I wonder, yeah.
I feel that these guys will want to find out how others did and what strategies they've used.
Especially while the problem is still very fresh in their mind.
So we've got Tourist just checking out the scores.
Yep. And actually, you can see across the top of his screen there, it is $10,000, $1,500, and $500 are the prizes for the first three. So, apparently, our research team is telling us that Tourist is using something called Far Manager. I don't know that one myself. If there's anybody out there who does know it, well, now you know somebody else who uses it too.
I used to use something like this like 20 years ago. It was really popular in Russia, but I haven't seen anyone else using it recently. So it was quite a surprise to see it.
And as we're looking at these scores and stuff right now, we're coming down on 8 minutes to go. Still seeing what Tourist is looking at. He is actually looking at the scoreboard. I suspect he's probably done making submissions at this point. Probably just waiting to see where everybody else ends up. Well, so reading Japanese is not necessarily an issue for me. The bigger problem is that the preview I'm looking at is way too small for me to be able to tell you anything that it says there. But that works. Hey, we've got competitors from all over the world, so not everybody's using English. IEHN certainly looks like he's still pretty alert. We've got a great view of him from his webcam. That's fantastic, actually. He is currently leading, so if in fact the scores in the order that they are right now hold up, you're looking right now at your winner. Whether or not that's going to be the case, though, as I've said, we don't know for sure. There could be quite a bit of shakeup when we do the final testing. In fact, kind of behind the scenes, I'll let everybody in on a little secret. A lot of the staff that goes into producing the problems and the competitions kind of enjoys when there is a little bit of shakeup. It keeps things interesting and makes the final reveal a whole lot more exciting. I'm sure it's very nerve-wracking for competitors.
So it looks like he's making some notes, or maybe even writing up about his approach.
That could very well be. Yeah, he might be preparing for some discussions that are going to follow immediately after. So we don't know where Tomarun's latest submission is going to land him, but we do have currently still 3 people over the 99-point mark. IEHN, Tourist, and Psyho. I assume Tomarun is going to be up there again shortly. Yep, this is exactly what it looks like when they go to look at their submissions. I can't read anything that's on the screen, but I can tell just from the color scheme that it looks like Nika is using Ubuntu for his development.
Yep, pretty sure.
What's interesting to see is I just saw the results for W. Lighte come in. He's up above 99 points now, and currently sitting in third, pending the results of how Tomarun's submission does.
Oh, wow.
That's quite the jump from 8th place to third.
That's a huge jump.
And again, that's only 0.3% away from first place right now. That's close enough that with some of the variation in the tests, that could actually put him right on top, maybe. Wouldn't that be something?
He was leading this competition a while ago, and then he went to sleep, and then when he woke up, he was overtaken.
Who was saying that? Oh, W. Late was. He has to work in 8 hours. This is work right now. What? No.
How's that even possible? How can you work after this?
This is what happens when you have a family and stuff, and have to. You can't just do this 24/7. Unfortunately, real life calls.
Yeah, sometimes we need to do real work. It's unfortunate. It gets in the way of the fun things that we want to do.
Yeah, real life gets in the way of Top Coder. We've got to prioritize better.
Definitely Top Coder is more important, in my opinion.
So apparently I'm being told that during the competition, Tomarun was making notes about the time he stopped to drink coffee, when he would stop to take a break, and things like this. Just being exceedingly disciplined about his scheduling and his timing throughout this. That's pretty serious commitment. I like it.
Pizza's looking tasty.
It is looking pretty tasty. As I was saying earlier, if it wasn't so late here and there was still a place open, I might actually get myself a pizza.
You could make one.
I could. I actually have the stuff in my fridge to do that. There's just one problem, is that I'm lazy and I'm not going to do that. I'm just being honest.
So my wife is actually quite a good cook, and when she found out that I'm writing this problem, she was giving me a lot of good cooking advice about making
Interesting.
pizza,
Okay.
and she was suggesting what kind of ingredients we can use. And then we made some pizza as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I was thinking, if I ever actually get a pizza from a real pizza place that has the toppings that densely packed on the pizza, I would be a very happy woman.
Yeah. Yeah, these days, like, if you go to Domino's, you get quite a sparse-looking pizza.
Yes, yeah, all the pepperonis are an inch apart and stuff. It's Okay, Tomarun's last submission did come in. He's sitting at 99. Actually, he's making one more submission. Okay.
Wow, that's living
He
dangerously.
was at 99.43. And he's now resubmitting. I'm guessing that 99.43 was lower than he was expecting, so he's reverting to his previous submission.
Yeah, that looks likely.
So when on the scoreboard, for everybody to understand, when it says 1 as their score, that simply means that they've made a new submission and it passed the initial checks to be run in the system, but that we're waiting on an official score to come back. So that 1 doesn't actually mean that people are only getting 1% of the score. It just means that we're waiting on the full scoring to happen for them. You'll see also next to the 1 it says 0 out of 0 tests, meaning that none of the tests have been run yet. And Tourist has said that he is done. W. Late has said that he is done. There's just over a minute officially to go at this point, so I'm not terribly surprised that a few of these guys are kind of complete and have as good as they're going to get with this. Ooh, it's interesting. I'm looking at this. I was just asked the question, what do you do if you're Ian at this point? I think... I think at this point, you call it a day. You say, you know what, I've done a great job. I'm not going to take any chances. This is as good as I've got, and I'm going to hope for the best. Apparently, Tourist has been quoted as saying, it's a great submission, but probably not great enough, sadly. So he's not feeling too confident he's going to win today. Looking at the numbers, I still say it's possible. I guess we'll see what happens, though. Going back to some of what we were saying about the local testing, a lot of these guys have probably run thousands, if not tens of thousands of tests locally, and probably have a very, very good idea of exactly how good their submission is, regardless of what it says on the leaderboard. So it is possible that some of these folks might think their submission is actually even a little bit better than what the leaderboard shows. You never really know on that. And as I'm saying this, time has expired. There's not going to be any more work being done by these competitors.
Right. That's it. Well done, everyone.
Hours by the competitors. That's well done, and congratulations to all of them. There's currently Tomarun, Nika, and V-Dave sitting in the queue waiting to be tested. We'll kind of see where they end up. And I believe within the next few moments we should have, I believe, a competitor or two actually joining us, which should be really exciting to kind of talk to them, kind of get their thoughts on the problem, on the competition, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think any competition where you can have competitors really focused for 24 hours, managing their time, just doing such a good job solving this problem that we weren't really even sure how they were going to approach it. I think that's something worth saying. I'm looking at the leaderboard now. We've got 4 people above 99 points. Ian, Tourist, W. Late, and Psyho all above 99 points. So Yeah, Tomarun is still waiting to finish testing, so we'll see where he comes in. As always, though, it's always a nice, fierce competition.
I think this has to be one of the closest finals we've had in a while.
Yeah, I would say it's not uncommon to see maybe 2, maybe even 3 competitors near the top that are sort of close, but to have 4 of them all within 1%, and have several more that are kind of in the chase pack right behind that, just an incredible result. It does mean that the problem was probably a pretty good difficulty level, though, because the 24 hours was just the right amount of time for them to get almost all they could out of it, and really, really be fighting for just those last few little improvements.
Oh, so Tourist is only 0.6 away now from first.
Yeah, that's certainly quite close.
As people are submitting, some of the scores are changing up and down. So that could actually bring him closer to the winner.
That could, and we'll see what kind of a difference that makes.
So Diver just submitted. I thought the submission has closed already.
It's possible that our leaderboard just simply didn't update with the fact that that submission had taken place.
Right.
That would be my guess, since we are only about a minute or two past the deadline.
So Nika's solution came through and is above 99 as well. So we've got 5 people above that.
Yeah, it doesn't really get much closer than that to have 5 people above the threshold,
Hmm.
where I would say, depending on circumstances, could be winners. And we're actually being joined now shortly. I don't want to preemptively promise, but it looks like blackmath has come onto our little green room here for the stream, so we'll be able to talk with him momentarily, I believe. As long as our technical folks are able to make sure that we get his audio wired in and everything properly.
And we should also get Psyho joining us as well.
That's what we are hoping. It looks like so I've actually got a direct stream for blackmath. Looks like he's having a little bit of water and just kind of getting himself ready to go. I'm sure he's probably exhausted, although he looks in really good spirits, all things considered, for having been competing for the last 24 hours. Psyho is also coming online to be able to join us shortly. He looks more awake than usual, which is kind of exciting. We're just waiting now. We've got our technical team kind of getting everybody wired in, so that we'll be able to actually have a little interview with both blackmath and Psyho, see, kind of get their thoughts on the problem, on the competition, how it was to work from home. I know everybody's wondering how Psyho's been doing since the last time he competed. We'll certainly be looking forward to talking to them shortly here. We do still have 2 submissions in the queue that we're waiting to see the results for. But again, we do have 5 competitors over that 99-point threshold, meaning within 1% of a perfect solution, or at least of the best solution on everything, I should say. I'm certainly pretty excited to see how this shakes out. I suspect we probably all are. Okay, we're going to be right back. We'll be back shortly. We'll be interviewing blackmath and Psyho. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you very shortly.
See you soon.
Whew. I can hear keyboards typing, so I think microphones are working.
Psyho is still solving
All right. We are back, and for the next few minutes, we are joined by Blackmath and Psyho, who are going to give us some of their thoughts on how today's competition went. So I'll let you. Well, Psyho, let's hear from you. It's been a few years since we've seen you. How do you feel everything went today?
Like 3 years, yeah. Wait, so what's the question?
How do you feel everything went today? Just kind of your general thoughts on the competition and how you're feeling?
I have a lot of thoughts, but like the start of the competition for me was complete disaster. So right now my sleep schedule is completely random. Like it's completely random, and for some weird reason, the supposed time when I go to sleep is around 4 a.m. and exactly at 4 a.m. TCO started. So I thought I will go to sleep around 3 or 4 a.m. and I took melatonin, like a really huge dose of melatonin around 3 a.m. The problem was that it didn't work, or I guess I didn't I did fall asleep for like 30 minutes, and then I woke up at like 3:40, completely brain dead, and I was lying in bed for like 30 minutes, and then I decided, okay, I guess I'll compete. And then later it turned out that for some reason my internet didn't work with Hoppit, which by the way now it does magically, and I haven't touched anything. So I believe I essentially started competing with a 2-hour delay, and then I needed like 2 or 3 hours to, like, I don't know, melatonin to wear off so I can finally code. And then at around 11 a.m. I went to sleep. So it was awesome.
Excellent.
That's
Black
great.
Math, how about you? How did you find everything this time?
Yeah, I think it was a new experience joining from home this time. I quite liked it. For I felt a little rusty. I've been almost retired from Top Coder, so I guess it took me a while to get back into it. Definitely realized that I'm a bit slower than I was before, but yeah, it was good.
Okay, so retired from Top Coder. Where have I heard that before? About 3 or 4 years ago. So
Well, I can. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I can only blame pandemic. Like my goal was to be a digital nomad right now, and then pandemic happened, and so I cannot travel. And
So you
So
may
you
as well
came
do
back.
Top Coder, of course.
Did
yeah.
you miss Top Coder?
I think I will always miss Top Coder to some extent. Like I really like competing. So when I was working full time at OpenAI, it's like no matter what I'm going to do, most probably it won't exactly fill this kind of void that Top Coder filled. So yeah, and right now I guess like I kind of qualified to TCO as an accident to some extent. So
Oops,
Well,
I
I think
accidentally competed and accidentally made a trip to TCO.
creep.
I think
You
it's
still
the
won
only
2
person who can say
competitions.
that.
So. And what about you, Blackmath? How does it feel coming back to Top Coder? Because I know you've been away for a while.
I think it's good. I also did like have a little more time during the pandemic to join, and like I guess Top Coder is the perfect thing to do while you're isolating at home. So yeah, had much more time to compete, so it wasn't that hard to actually qualify this time.
Yep. Excellent. How do you feel the competition has changed since you've been away? And you've got a new problem writer as well. Does that make a difference?
I don't think it really has changed a lot. I guess the only thing that I realized is that I would have to upgrade my laptop, which is like it's a bit outdated. Trying to compile and like stream to Hopin and everything. So I did in the end most of the testing remotely, just because locally I couldn't do that much, and like it was very unreliable, my results that I got locally.
Okay, we do actually have a question that came in for the both of you. We recently talked about having 20 years of TCO. Since you've both been to multiple TCOs at this point, which one would you say has been your favorite and why?
Like for me, I really liked one of my first TCOs, or maybe it was the first TCO 8 years ago in Florida. It was like a resort hotel close to Disney World, and
That sounds nice.
basically the stage was right next to the pool, so it was a really relaxing experience.
Yeah, that was a really cool year. I remember that one well. Psyho, how about you? Do you remember which one is your favorite? You've been to so many of them.
Yeah, I had to go through all of them in my head. Actually, I think like my favorite one was one of the ones in Vegas. Yeah, but there's definite bias where like obviously it's one of the earliest ones when I didn't travel much back then, so it was like completely new. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, something we haven't talked about yet. What did you two think of the problem that we had today?
And how did you solve it as well?
Yeah.
I'm really interested.
I have nothing to say.
Well, I think it was interesting, but I felt like there were so many details that I would want to implement, but I didn't really get to it. I think this would have as well be a really good problem for like a week. At least for me, I would have liked to take a week long of time for this. There were problems. I mean, with like circle packing problems in the past, but it had. I think it had an interesting twist. So yeah, I think it was a good problem for the final. We have scores close to perfect, but not. I mean, not perfect, but very very tight scores at the top. So I think it's a good thing. It's maybe a good thing for Psycho not to win sometimes, but yeah.
So another question we actually had come in from one of the viewers on the stream. Have either of you changed your views on pizza as a result of this competition?
I still dislike pizza.
Okay.
Nope. For me, the problem was really cool, but at the same time, I absolutely hated it, I guess. I love the twist with the packing. That it actually, like, the problem was really like bunching together circles and rectangles created unique problem, and it was really cool. Like that you can have like super short description, but at the same time there was a ton of depth. At the same time, I guess like I have like when I read the problem, I knew that it will defeat me. I think it was the first time. Okay, I don't know what was the problem 2 years ago, but as far as I can tell, well, first of all, that we had finals without a grid. That's something special. And the other thing is almost every other problem in the finals that I remember was about simulation or decision making, like at least most of the recent ones. And I'm really good at those. And I absolutely suck with simple classic problems where you have to squeeze out almost optimal solution. So I'm happy that we had something different, but at the same time, I'm not happy that this is the year where I compete.
So we have another question that came in. I'm guessing this one is more for you, Psyho, just a guess. Have you been to any good escape rooms recently?
I wonder, like, where is this person from? Do they have COVID as well? Like, so essentially, escape rooms are almost closed in Poland right now. I between the first wave and second wave, I've been to few.
Nice.
In Poland, we have lots of horror-themed escape rooms, like really good ones. Although the best horror-themed escape room I've been to was in Prague, in Czech Republic, which was essentially like being in the middle of the movie, but that's another story.
Interesting. Okay.
And do you do well in escape rooms?
So this year there was a Polish company organizes something like a escape room championships, and this year was the first year where I didn't qualify.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
So I guess, yeah, I see a pattern.
It's because you did Top Coder this year, isn't it? You had to sacrifice something.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I wouldn't be able to compete because they overlapped. I believe they were running a few hours ago.
Oh, okay. So I think that's a good thing you didn't qualify for that. Because we definitely want you here.
Okay. So I'll throw out a question for both of you. This one doesn't come from the stream. This is my question. But now that you've been doing the 24-hour competition, you're obviously very fired up about competing, but at the same time probably exhausted. What's your next week going to look like between now and the final results? Going to try to get some sleep, or do you have anything exciting planned, or what's happening for you now?
I guess for me, like since we're still in a pandemic, in the middle of a pandemic, Top Coder was already the most exciting thing to happen. And next week is just gonna be some resting. See maybe I haven't even checked the schedule, but I guess there will be some algorithm semi-final and final to watch sometime. So yeah.
That's on Wednesday, actually. Yeah, it's gonna be the algorithm semi 2 round.
It sounds like an abusive relationship where, like, we failed, but we are still going to do exactly the same thing.
I think you're addicted to competing.
I was retired for 2 years.
Well, you were.
Now you're back.
Yeah, that's true. I just needed to do something.
In the problem, we originally had floating point coordinates, and then we decided to change them to integer. What do you think about that change? How did it affect your solution?
Yeah, I guess I would have preferred floating point coordinates because I feel like sometimes with those top coder problems, they kind of artificially try to limit things to integer coordinates. And like in this case, there was like still some kind of epsilon comparison involved. So it's, we were limited to integral coordinates, but still I would have preferred it. And also like I guess I was thinking about doing some kind of like physical simulation. There was another similar problem or like packing problem a few years ago, and it worked out quite well. But it was like with floating point coordinates. So I guess it maybe affects a bit the algorithm of choice here because like. I've seen it in the past that it doesn't always work out well when you compute things on floating point and then try to round it back because it's like introduces too much error. So I guess it was okay, but it definitely changed things.
Yeah, it makes sense. We thought it's going to be quite a controversial decision. I mean, the idea was we wanted to reduce the impact of epsilon checking, so to basically make your work easier. But at the same time, it might have made it more complicated.
In fairness, part of that was also aimed, I think, at reducing the chance of having any bugs in the tester, because we certainly don't want that to happen during the finals. That's that would be really bad.
I definitely prefer on the integer coordinates. Like both of you said, it reduces the number of like weird things that can happen. And by the way, there was essentially no epsilon. The only place where we had epsilon was rectangle and circle.
Yep.
So I had epsilon in my intersection code, and during the last 30 minutes, I believe, I noticed that actually there's no epsilon in the testing code. So I removed it, and I gained like 0.1 or something like that. Because
that's interesting.
Because of that, I was not able to put circles in the touching circle that would touch the boundary of the large pizza.
Okay. So another question coming in, what were your basic approaches to the problem, and did you have any luck with simulated annealing? I'm gonna guess that's a no. I'm just reading the questions that I see coming in.
I would imagine someone can guess if simulated annealing was possible based on the leaderboard. But actually, honestly, I don't know what's the correct approach. Maybe blackmath knows.
Yeah, I have no. I mean, looking at the scoreboard, I'm like ended up 7th place, quite a bit behind Psycho and other folks. So I don't know the correct approach, but I guess with a bit more time, I would still keep trying to improve my solution. So what I actually did is I feel like packing rectangles seems to be slightly easier than packing
You get a tighter fit.
salami or like circles or discs. It's my approach was to start with some packing for the rectangles and then start from there. And I did some dynamic programming to add the rectangles, and then like mostly greedy plus some trial and error to fit in the rest.
Okay.
I mostly had greedy. I added the dynamic programming thing, although I solved dynamic programming through hill climbing because I hate writing DP code. But
and yet you're a subcoder.
I like when I saw the score of, I don't know how to pronounce their nickname. IEHN. I genuinely thought it's a bug because, like, from my perspective, this score was just not possible. So for quite a bit, I thought like it's essentially impossible to pack so much on the pizza, and I still have no idea how to do that. Like, even if I would grab all of the best solutions from all of my different runs, I wouldn't be close. So honestly, I have no idea like where I'm losing most of the points. I'm clueless. Like when I see the screen, like it seems like there are no gaps. So like, where does this difference come from?
I mean, so no gaps is one thing, right? But like
the difference as well.
Like some part of the scoring is like a penalty for like.
It's equal for me, pretty much for all of the cases.
Okay.
I mean, you have to fill it. You have to fill the whole pizza for a perfect solution. But still, you need like a good balance between rectangles and circles.
I believe like one of the places where I can lose points is the edges with the rectangles. Is in a way that you need to put a lot of like very thin rectangles to have like as few like triangles on the edge, like empty triangles on the edges. Like this is one of the cases where I think I can lose a lot of points. And the other one, so this is an interesting problem, and I tried to solve it like, I don't know, with 2 or 3 hours to go. What's the optimal pattern for interleaving rectangles and circles? Because I believe you can do the rectangle in the middle and achieve much better fill rate than doing the standard hexagonal grid with circles. So
Yeah.
I'm terrible with math, but
Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh,
it
cool.
seems that the thing on hexagonal grid gives you 0.906 fill, and with the rectangles it gives you 0.932, which is like a huge difference. So
That's
it's
a huge difference, yeah.
over 2%. But the problem is you need a lot of rectangles that are at most 14 by 14. So we can combine two smaller ones, but I did like a quick hack to see if it works, and it didn't. But
Oops.
I don't know. Like in theory, it should be possible to do that, assuming my math is correct.
Excellent. So let's. We have another question that actually came in for you, Psyho. In your intro parade video, what were you doing? Were you rolling around on the ground?
I was lying on bed.
Okay. All right.
I look at my email, and Jesse wrote that I have 24 hours to send my introduction video, and it was 23 hours ago. So I didn't have time to be creative. So like, I'm here already. Let's do the video.
Okay, that works. Do either of you have any kind of concluding thoughts or anything else you wanted to say, either about the contest, the problem, about doing it from home rather than on site?
Please, no more 24-hour contests.
So what's really funny is I think it was back in 2010 at the end of the contest in Vegas. I believe you told me exactly the same thing. I remember the conversation very, very well.
I remember saying that.
I remember hearing it too. Blackmath, how about you? Any concluding thoughts?
Yeah, I guess at least I need 1 year of break until the next 24 hours competition. So maybe next year is fine, but this year I'm done with 2020.
All right then.
Well, you're assuming there will be 2021.
That's true. We'll see what happens.
We can only hope.
All right. Any other questions or thoughts, Dimitri?
No, it was great to catch up with you guys, and I wish you all the best. And yeah, see you next year. Hopefully we'll make another cool problem and maybe make it a bit shorter so you don't have to break your sleep cycles.
Yeah, next year's problem will be only 23 hours, so we'll plan on that. All right. Well, thank you both, Psyho, Blackmath. Thank you immensely for agreeing to come on and be interviewed by us and tell us about some of your thoughts. We look forward, as you do, I'm sure, to seeing how the leaderboard shakes out. With that, we're going to wrap it up for tonight, and we're going to send it back over to the studio.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Get some sleep.
All right, and that'll do it. That wraps up the marathon finals. Wow, 24 hours later, we did it. Well, we didn't do much. These 12 competitors, they did it. But that was really cool to watch. We saw the beginning, we saw the end. As Aaron mentioned, the final leaderboard, what you saw is actually not the final leaderboard. The final leaderboard will be announced at the awards ceremony, which you can check out when that is on the TCO20 website. So that's when we will reveal the winner. Okay, so next up, we have 2 days off. We, as the Top Coder team, and all of the finalists that have competed already, we need a little break. We need to regroup a little bit, maybe catch up on some Z's on our side. But we will be back in 2 days on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we will be back with Mike Morris. We're doing an AMA. So, all you Top Coder members, anything you ever wanted to ask the Top Coder CEO, now's your chance. Anyone can ask Mr. Mike Morris a question, and he will answer you. That's what he has to do. That's what the AMA is all about. Also on Wednesday, we will have the Algo semifinal round 2, and we will have interviews with Piotr and Scott Wu after the match, and your host will be Arikto and Lewin, as they were back in Algo semifinal 1. Then concluding that day, we're going to have a Where Are They Now admins edition. So ever wonder where your admins went after they left Top Coder? We'll find out on Wednesday evening, Top Coder time. All right. A few thank yous to these people. Harshit, thank you so much for all of the background information, helping out with the hosting, getting all the members in for their interviews, just so I don't have to worry about it, so I can just worry about the whole production. Thank you so much for that. Thank you to Jesse, Adam, Mess for the 20 years of TCO. That was a really fun hour that we had there. Tony and Will with the development finals, hosting that. Thank you so much. And to our interviewees, Psyho and blackmath, as you saw, and Bird of Preru for the development competition. And thank you so much to Darake, that's Daniela, and Tasha for the help with the leaderboards and all these graphics that you see. That was all them, folks. They are doing such a great job, such a great team here, working on all cylinders to bring you guys a good show. And we're going to continue doing that on Wednesday. And also a big shout out to the Top Coder staff who had stage duty and were with our competitors just to make sure everything's going smoothly in their rooms. So that's it. That concludes Sunday's show, and we will see you back here on Wednesday. Once again, be sure to check out the Top Coder TCO20 website, tco20.topcoder.com, for the latest information. Alrighty, until Wednesday, this is Nick signing off. Good night.